4-year-old Rosali Fernandez Cruz, an illegal migrant from El Salvador, has been charged with the hit-and-run death of a 21-year-old, that is Nate Baker, who is a business major enrolled at the University of South Carolina.
Baker had been riding a motorcycle when the collision happened and was pronounced dead at a local hospital. In a statement from his fraternity, brothers call him, quote, a brother, a leader, a role model, and a true embodiment of what our fraternity stands for. Joining us now is South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson, who's since announced that his office will be prosecuting the suspect in the case. So, AG, welcome, and thanks so much for coming on. You know, this is unfortunately a real-world example of an illegal migrant who's come into the country, obviously not following the law there, but also not following the rules of the road, right? And ending in tragedy for a young American student. Can you just share your thoughts about what's running through your mind in this case?
Well, the first thing, as a parent of teenagers, my heart goes out to the Baker family and the University of South Carolina community, the students there and the people who knew this young man with such a bright future. It's heart-wrenching. It just hits you in the gut as a parent and as a human being. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is this underscores the importance of local law enforcement, my office working with our federal law enforcement partners in enforcing laws that promote and protect our respective communities here in South Carolina. The last several years, we've had tens of millions of people flood into the United States who are here illegally. Many are not a threat to our communities, but many are. And that is why I'm so grateful that we're able to now engage with ICE and Homeland Security and our federal law enforcement partners to go after illegal immigrants who are here. Many are violent members of violent gangs like Tren de Aragua, MS-13. Nearly all of the drug trafficking cases I have originate with Mexican drug cartels coordinating with these gangs. So while this particular individual on this case is not a known associate of these gangs, it underscores the importance of immigration enforcement. We want safe communities, we want safe neighborhoods for our respective citizens, and that's why my office is taking this case. We have ongoing investigations right now involving illegal immigration in South Carolina that the general public does not know about, and that is one of the reasons we took this case, to basically try to bring those efforts to bear on illegal immigration in South Carolina.
Oh, you've got the federal authorities behind you on this one. You wouldn't have had that, you know, just a year ago or less than that. In fact, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, she even chimed in recently on that specific tragedy we're discussing here, even posting on X on Wednesday, saying this on Wednesday, 21-year-old Virginia native Nathaniel Nate Baker was driving a motorcycle when he was struck and killed by a driver who fled the scene. The hit-and-run driver was an alien in our country illegally. This tragedy should have never happened. I am praying for Nate, his family, and loved ones. We will get Nate and his family justice. And AG, that is exactly what you're pointing to. Again, justice in the Palmetto State specifically, and keeping residents of the Palmetto State safe. And again, just your thoughts now on knowing that you have support on the federal levels like you've never seen.
Well, first off, I want to commend Secretary Kristi Noem, who is a personal friend of mine, someone that I've actually communicated with since her confirmation as the Homeland Secretary. Her team, Tom Homan, and I've even spoken. I've spoken with many of their local leadership here in South Carolina. Priorities and culture of an organization begin at the top, and you can see that permeating down here in South Carolina. The level of collaboration and coordination I've had with the FBI, Homeland Security investigations, ICE, and others is unparalleled over the last several years. It has been very good. The priorities of the previous administration, they bore out down here at the ground level. And I don't place that blame on local law enforcement leadership, because they have to do what they're told by their leaders in Washington, D.C. But right now, I can tell you that the level of support we're getting, local law enforcement are signing up left and right for the 287G program. That's a program that allows local law enforcement to perform ICE functions. We weren't allowed to do that before January. Now they have streamlined that process. Now local law enforcement and federal law enforcement are working hand in glove to try to protect these communities from violent illegal aliens like Tren de Aragua. Again, I'm incredibly happy that the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Trump administration's right to deport these folks under the Alien Enemies Act, and that's why I led a 27-state coalition to support that to the Supreme Court. This kind of stuff helps us on the ground.
Sure. And to the Secretary's point, this incident should never, ever have happened, because the driver who fled the scene should never have been in the country. But as the state's top cop, You know, you've got a lot that you've got to take care of. And unfortunately, there are American citizens who do commit crimes. And I'm wondering how your office is able to balance it when you've got, you know, potentially hundreds of thousands of folks here illegally that you're also trying to keep an eye out for. I mean, how much has illegal immigration impacted your day-to-day and monitoring those individuals?
Well, like I said earlier, the vast majority of the drug trafficking cases we have originate with the drug cartels and gangs south of the border, and they come up through Atlanta into South Carolina. We've seized in the last 4 or 5 years about 144 kilos of fentanyl, all originating from Mexico. And half a kilo of fentanyl is enough to kill 500,000 people, just to give you an idea of how dangerous this is. You know, there's 300,000 unaccompanied minors that the Office of the Inspector General at Homeland Security last summer said that they can't find. These are kids that came across the southern border. By the way, the defendant in this hit and run case was an unaccompanied minor from 2016. But there's 300,000 kids they can't locate who came from south of the border. Is that feeding the human trafficking trade here in this country? So there's a lot of questions I have. But right now, the ability to work with local law enforcement and have them partner with federal law enforcement is going to be so helpful to us in keeping our states safe. And I can't thank our federal partners and the leadership in D.C. For what they're doing, because it's a huge help to people like me who are trying to do that.
That is South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson joining the program. AG, thank you for that. We do appreciate it.